Hello, everyone. I am Katie DeRico here on the Rated ICFS podcast, and I'm joined by Rob Johnson and Brendan Teenan.
Hello.
Howdy.
And today we're going to be talking a little bit about one of my personal favorite subjects, cartoons.
Hell yeah.
Because
I think it's safe to say that's all of our favorite subjects.
I mean, because we're all literally 6-year-olds in early 30s-year-old bodies.
Oh, you're so kind.
I know. I'm being really nice today. No, I'm nice all the time. No, but I think it's really interesting how so many people in our generation actually still do love cartoons. Like, isn't that a point of reference in friend groups nowadays? Like, talking about cartoons that you grew up with and loved and watch all the time on reruns?
Yeah, for sure. And it's, I believe it's kind of because like we came of age during like the big cartoon boom of the 90s.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Where, you know, the sort of He-Man era was kind of phasing out, and then it became more about quality over quantity.
Yeah, you had like Steven Spielberg doing cartoons, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the Looney Tune Adventures.
Tiny Toons.
Tiny Toons,
and,
yes.
And then he spearheaded Animaniacs as well, and
Yep.
all those shows that came out of that.
You see, I grew up with more anime. I grew up with that too. Like, it was all what was on Cartoon Network at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we're not
yeah.
even talking about Nickelodeon stuff. We're talking about, that's a whole other subject, is Nickelodeon versus Cartoon Network. But like Cartoon Network,
The Great War between
the kid stations of the time. But no, Cartoon Network, you had Tiny Toon Adventures and you had all this stuff, but I was watching Sailor Moon, Cardcaptor Sakura, like the terrible dub of Cardcaptor Sakura, which you didn't realize how bad it was at the time.
Wasn't that on 4Kids Fox for a while?
That was on there too. They would play it sometimes on Saturday mornings, I think.
Oh, yeah. They tried to make the male side character the main character, and they did that with Escaflowne too. It was
exactly.
awful.
Oh, my favorite above all though was like Digimon. That was where I had I didn't have my first crush on like a human boy. I had my first crush on freaking Ty.
Oh, Ty.
No, Ty. I was not a goth girl at the time for my Otismon. Excuse you, Rob.
I'm sorry for even existing.
You're pseudo vampire-esque.
You know what? He had all the best plot lines. That's what I'm gonna say. He was my first villain boo.
Okay. He's your villain bae? Is that what you're telling me right now?
Yes.
You have a villain bae? Okay.
I have many villain baes now, but he was definitely the first.
You never forget your first.
You never forget your first. I mean, it was Ty.
No, in the whole Nickelodeon versus Cartoon Network had the better spaceship. Cartoon Network wins.
Okay.
Come on, Afternoon Toonami, that was the shit.
I mean, it was, but also, I'm sorry, but in Nickelodeon's respect, you had Hey Arnold, Rugrats, The Wild Thornberry. You had
Doug. They had Doug.
They did have Doug. Danny Phantom was later on, and before Danny Phantom, you had Fairly Odd Parents. I can go on with this.
Oh, yeah.
It's like they were completely up there in like. It was the Montagues versus Capulets of children's TV. Like, let's be honest here. And I don't think there's any like one side that you can.
It was the Bloods
wins.
versus Crips for 10-year-olds.
just bringing it on in with the gangs.
Should I have said like Celtics Lakers or
Yeah, probably. That would have been
Red
a little
Sox Yankees? Like
that would have been Red Sox Yankees. That would have been great. Then you and I would have been fighting about something totally different.
It's interesting you guys are talking about the Digimon and all those shows, because I watched a fair amount of Cartoon Network growing up. For whatever reason, I was very late to the party with Digimon and Sailor Moon and all those. I was very much more about like Johnny Bravo and Dexter's Laboratory.
Oh, Dexter's Lab. Oh,
and
my God.
And of course, Powerpuff Girls, which we showed at our last cartoon show, because everybody loved that show.
Powerpuff Girls was like amazing because you had these 3 little girls, which for a little girl myself at the time, you had these 3 little girls that literally just kicked the crap out of everybody. And granted, I was older than being in kindergarten, but I still appreciated that, and I appreciated the different villains that they had too on top of it all. Like you had him, who was this like sexually ambiguous devil lobster like soaking in a bathtub, talking about how he was going to destroy the Powerpuff Girls. Like, what show was doing
Mojo
that
Jojo.
at the time? Mojo Jojo. Oh my God.
It had a lot of good texture in there. It was just really great. You got a superhero show that never existed before that point.
Exactly.
Just with a bunch of ass kicking.
You know, it was just so fantastic, and you know, I don't know what else to say about it. It's just it's one of those things. But you know, that all has led into, you know, so many amazing. I feel like though you couldn't have had that without like the She-Ras and you know, even oh God, I'm blanking. What was the name of the princess in Voltron who joined Voltron after
Allura?
the one guy died? Yes, Allura. She all of a sudden takes up a suit and joins this band of dudes to save their planet after the lead dude kicks the bucket. Spoiler alert. Sorry, guys.
It's
But
Apology
just like,
accepted.
but no, just like that was such an amazing thing. Sorry to make that a little bit of like feminist moment, but
no, I love that too. I mean, I grew up on the old Voltron on the Cartoon Network or the Cartoon Express on USA back in the day.
Oh wow!
Gosh.
But I loved Voltron, but it always irritated me after the main character kicked the bucket. None of their suits matched the color of lion they were piloting. I know. Always bugged me.
Guys, get color coordinated. Come on.
You were doing it for so long, and the one guy, it's just like, you lose one color and it's over.
For me, I think my kind of golden era, whatever you want to call it, has to be mid to late 90s, where it was Fox Kids that then became Kids WB.
Yes.
So then you had probably my favorite of all time, Batman the Animated Series, which launched all of the DC cartoons of Superman and Justice League and Batman Beyond, et cetera, et cetera. But then you also had X-Men and the mid 90s Spider-Man, which had like great stories, but was horribly animated. Like, I'm sorry, Spider-Man should never be that jacked.
Okay.
Well, he was built.
He was built like Arnold. Yeah, like Tobey Maguire was more appropriate.
25-year-old.
But he was more appropriate build-wise,
like
whereas that cartoon Peter Parker looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, he was beefy.
And everybody was, whether like Dr. Octopus had a six-pack in that cartoon. It was weird. But they had great stories. And so like that whole era of the Fox Kids WB, like I would go home to a friend's house after school from like 3rd through 6th grade, and we literally spent a solid hour and a half to 2 hours just watching those cartoons on repeats, because they probably already made all the episodes and just cycled through them and just,
of course.
you know, reruns. And that was kind of to my point earlier about quality over quantity. They like spend so much time in creating quality animation, like really well drawn and well inked frames, but then like they had like all of the WB shows with Batman the Animated Series had like actual live orchestras, where it's like 50, 60, 80 piece orchestras making the themes for all the individual characters, and like those really amazing title cards that they had for opening each individual episodes. Like there was such an incredible care and design, and the voice actors that they got.
The voice actors have been so astounding for a lot of different animated series.
Like Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill as the Joker and Batman. They're still my Joker and Batman. When I read them on the page, they're the voices I hear.
Yeah. I think also something that I also love about cartoons in general, and with the quality over quantity, is that no one's really afraid to redo a series if it's like it has so much more potential than this you know, like previous incarnation, that it's like you can experiment with that and you can add it on, which leads to, I think, a lot more great new series coming about.
If you've seen the modern She-Ra, that shit is legit. It's
I did
so good.
see it. It was so good. And the fact of it was that made it so good is that it's just like, it's not tropey. It's not what it didn't completely follow the original. It like took what the original was and it spun it to be enough of its own, where it's like you can sit there and you can say, oh my god, I remember She-Ra, this is such a great thing for me to watch, but then be like, oh my god, I didn't even realize we could get to this level.
So much of the throwaway tack from the original She-Ra and went, what could we really do with this? How could we really make this story interesting with all these pieces that we have?
Exactly.
And it just did a really good job crafting a well-paced story that was interesting. And that doesn't matter if you're a kid or an adult watching it. A kid can watch it and enjoy it. And I, as a 35-year-old man, watched it and still enjoyed it. It was a good story.
In a non-creepy way.
That's always important nowadays.
It's just making that. So, Brendan, you need to get on our level and you need to watch it, because it was really good. And it was just overall something that I just suggest everybody watch.
And kind of speaking to that, I've lost track of if it's come out yet or not, but there's the Carmen Sandiego cartoon
that is out now on Netflix. I haven't gotten a chance to watch that one yet either.
But it looks like they are doing a similar kind of thing where they're just taking some kind of not obscure, but almost like certain throwaway elements and have like put that into the cartoon. From what I can tell so far,
I've given it 3 episodes. It's not my cup of tea, but I will eventually get through it and have a more informed opinion.
No, exactly. I mean, I haven't watched it yet, and I'm going to say it now. I never watched the original Carmen Sandiego show. I saw bits and pieces of it, but it was never my cup of tea either. But I feel like one of the reasons I didn't like the original Carmen Sandiego, correct me if I'm wrong, but there wasn't really a particular plot besides Carmen Sandiego is a wanted person and she just travels. No one knows where she was. And so people were trying to constantly find her.
Yeah, well, it had so many iterations. It started off as a kid's game show on PBS.
Yeah.
I do know that. Yeah.
The Warrant.
Yeah, with the Acme detective agency and so all the kids were gumshoes and then it did become a cartoon where she was just kind of like a noir femme fatale type, almost like anti-hero, I think. Yeah,
but what I meant by like the change is that like I feel like in what I've seen so far, trailer wise for the Netflix one, is that there's an actual storyline of who Carmen Sandiego is.
Yeah.
You dive into that more than you ever did in the original iterations of Carmen Sandiego. So you actually have more of a feeling of like a person and not just an identity. You know what I mean?
The original ones, it was definitely more about the Acme agents chasing her.
Yeah.
It was what the story was about. She was a plot device, an interesting and captivating plot device.
She was the,
the MacGuffin?
She was the MacGuffin. She was the green light in Great Gatsby. Like,
yes, exactly.
We're gonna,
they definitely do. In the first 3 episodes, you get like a full backstory of her.
Yeah.
The weird thing is, from my takeaway of that backstory is it's not as good as the one I had made up in my own head.
No, and you know what?
It never is.
It never is. It really isn't, you know? But yeah, no, I feel like nowadays, like, I'm going to ask a kind of serious question, but, you know, if and when you guys, like, have kids or, like, somehow, like, you become uncles or, you know, some iteration of that, is there a particular cartoon that you think should be viewed by the younger generations? Like, something you would show your kids above anything else, like, instead of cartoons of the day? Or do you think that, like, you have enough faith in this kind of medium now that you're like, anything could be on and I feel like it'll be amazing? Or
I think that I think that they have a high batting average now of like creating really good quality content. And so if I have kids or if I become a cool uncle or something like that, I like to think I'd be a cool uncle, but you never know. But if I became an uncle, and then I think that like I have enough belief in the content creators of today to make quality programming, but there still are things that I would probably still want to show them, you know, like I would want to show them some classic Chuck Jones Looney Tunes, you know, like you've got it. Like, that was my introduction to opera. I feel like that should be most kids' introduction to opera is the What's Opera doc and Kill the Wabbit and all that stuff. Nice. Like, And plus, like, there's so many other shorts that they made, and it's very easily digestible because they're all like 6, 7, 8 minutes long. You can just bang through them real quick, and they're also hilarious and perfectly timed. I know that a lot of these can be very problematic, but for the same reasons, I would still show Tom and Jerry to kids.
Yeah.
Absolutely show it with the certain context that it requires nowadays, because they very much leaned into the stereotypical black mammy character on many occasions in that, where it's just that, not okay anymore. You can skip those shorts. There's plenty of other ones where they didn't have those elements in there.
Yeah.
Or if you did show it to them, explain like, hey, this was a thing that was done. It's not cool.
Yeah.
But so I would definitely probably start with those two and then get into one of the ones from my childhood that were like created as I was growing up.
Yeah.
Honestly, I have a little experience being a cool uncle because my sister is 4 years older than me and so has a number of children.
I didn't know that at the time. So.
But I've always, the strategy that has worked for me is just sit down and watch something with them. Like, it can be something new, it can be something old, and talk to them after the episode. Did you enjoy it? Did you not? I know the ones that worked really well, I took some of my nieces and nephews to the animated movie Rise of the Guardians back when it was in theaters.
I did see
it's
that.
Fantastic.
Yes, it is.
But
someone who has not seen, is this the one with the owls?
No, that is
That's Guardians of Gahul or something.
Is something like that.
Yeah.
No, Rise of the Guardians was Santa Claus, voiced by Alec Baldwin.
Yep.
The Easter Bunny, voiced by Hugh Jackman. The Tooth Fairy and the Sandman have to recruit Jack Frost to defeat the Boogeyman. And something that I think people didn't really realize when the movie came out, this is just a tidbit, I didn't realize it, was that it's taking place around Easter time.
Yeah.
I think whenever you see a movie with Santa Claus in it, you automatically think it's Christmas. And they actually bring it up in the movie, how it's like, oh, everybody think, like, if I pulled something like this 3 days before Christmas, how would you feel? Like it's a running joke.
Gotcha.
It's a really nice movie for kids, and it has a really good message on the holidays. But
that's good.
We
Color
can
me intrigued by the cast alone.
Exactly.
I mean,
It's
cast is
amazing. Chris Pine, Jude Law. It's a great voice cast. But yeah, well, so I think we're running out of time.
Oh no.
I know, right? It just goes so fast. But I did just want to mention that coming up on May 18th.
May 18th.
We will be doing, ICFS will be hosting a cartoon cereal bowl in the GE Theater. It's going to be a great time.
Yep.
It starts at 10 a.m., right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Do we have a theme or...
I think we just came out of our meeting, so kind of late breaking news. We're going to go with the theme of monsters.
Yes. So it's not necessarily monsters in, like, we could show the show our real monsters, but it's not just going to be that. It can also be something where there is fighting monsters or, a general theme of monster in the episode. But, it's all up in the air right now.
Yep, all the cartoons are to be determined. We generally don't announce what cartoons will actually be shown and just kind of make it a surprise the day of for everybody. But once we pick out a theme, I think a lot of people start making some pretty good educated guesses on what they may or may not see. Yeah. And that's always so much fun. It's become one of the most successful events that ICFS has started doing the last 3 or 4 years in terms of attendance, and it's... Obviously, because it's a 3-hour block of Saturday morning cartoons, it's fun for the whole family. You can literally bring kids. People bring their kids. They're eating as much sugary cereal as they possibly can, and then they're running around in front of the screen, and then they crash, and it's great.
There are also adult cereals. I want to make that clear. It's not just a sugar rush. It is also...
It should definitely be a sugar rush, and I'm going to be pushing for Lucio O's to be on the stack.
I just took a picture of those. I couldn't believe they were a real thing.
There usually is 1 or 2 obligatory boxes of Raisin Bran for the adults who refuse to give in to the sugary snacks.
Exactly. And plenty of milk. Hopefully no spillage this time.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. Our cleaning staff appreciates when we don't leave all of the seats covered in old milk.
I'm sure every parent can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, this has been an episode of Rated ICFS, and we hope to see you guys soon.
Yeah. Thank you for having us on.
Thanks, Katie.